Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining and coming. And we are very happy that we could fit into this small room. So it's great to see that. We have a very strict agenda how we planned the panel, just to make sure that it's interactive enough and interesting. But before we will go into details, I would like to ask Mr. Almir Badjevic to make some welcoming words to you.
Good morning to all of you. I would like to take this opportunity to first express my deepest condolences to the families of the victims in tragic fire in Tuzla, and to begin this panel and this opening session with a moment of silence in honor of all of those who lost their lives in this tragedy. Thank you very much. As my colleague said, my name is Almir Badjevic, and I am Director of the State Agency for Identification Documents, Registers, and Data Exchange of Bosnia and Herzegovina, mostly called IDDEEA in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which are competences, as I said, are identification documents, data exchange for the whole state institution on all levels in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and also registers, because we are keeping all civil registers for all institutions in the Bosnia and Herzegovina. Additional, our competences is also related to the digital signature related to the digital to identification documents. So it means that we are developing what you will see also through different kind of those presentations and videos. We are developing different kind of solutions such as digital identification, digital identity. We are working also on the digital wallet currently, and I can proudly say that Bosnia and Herzegovina and IDDEEA are the only non-EU country which is the part of the biggest European BBL consortium, which is working on the digital wallet at European level. Also, through today's conversation, we will talk about this panel, which name is Digitalization, Boost for Competitiveness, Sustainability and the Growth. And it is in fact organized between the EUSDR Presidency in cooperation with our agency. So I will not take more time because I'm sure that you are all expecting more the other panelists also. I just would like to say this panel is open, and thank you very much all for participation in this.
Thank you very much, Amir. How we plan to structure this 1.5 hour, which is ahead of us, is that we will have the panelists. I will introduce each of them, and each of them has a 5-minute presentation. I will chase them to make sure that nobody is beyond the 5 minutes. And then we have some questions to answer, and then we would like to open the floor for questions from your side. The topics will be very diverse, and everything is about digitalization. Before we go into that, my name is Balázs Barta. I'm coming from Hungary. I'm the managing director of Pannon Business Network, and we are focusing on digitalization in manufacturing and social care. So the topics which are very interesting, we will talk about e-signatures and digital wallets, as Almir just explained. Then Klaus will speak about the sustainable digital transformation of companies. Then we will speak about digitalization in public sector and especially in logistics. Then digitalization of businesses by Igor, and AI in businesses by Tomislav. So as a start, I would like to introduce each of the panelists, and then I say the names. I would like to ask them to join me on stage next to me, not to feel lonely on this big stage. So first, I would like to ask Almir to come here, if I may ask you to join. And a few words about the gentleman next to me. Oh, perfect. Oh, perfect. Almir he received his PhD from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing from the University of Zagreb. And what is especially fascinating about him, if I may say so, he's working both in academia and business on a very high level. So he established one of the most equipped laboratories for testing and verification of medical devices in Europe. It's called Fairlab Laboratory. In academic career, he's also very advanced. He's head of the Department of Genetics and Bioengineering at the Faculty of Engineering, Natural and Medical Sciences at the International Buch University. In 2020, he became regular member of the International Academy of Science and Arts in Bosnia-Herzegovina, also member of the European Academy of Science and Arts, and a fellow of the World Academy of Arts and Science. He's also, in 2023, he was elected by the Council of Ministers' decision as a director of Agency for Identification Documents, Registers, and Data Exchange of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Then I'd like to ask Mr. Klaus Hoffmann, Dr. Klaus Hoffmann from Germany. Klaus is a managing director of Zukunft der Digitalisierung GmbH since 2018, which shows already that he's into digitalization for 7 years. So it's not just something that trendy and came up recently, and this is why he's doing that. And he's also leading the Digital Danube Working Group in the Priority Area 8 Danube Region strategy. He studied economics and earned his doctorate in communication sciences at the University of Stuttgart-Hohenheim. And he was head of creative industry business unit at Medien- und Filmgesellschaft in Baden-Württemberg. And he worked as a consultant for the State Ministry, Ministry of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Culture of Baden-Württemberg, and many others. And he's also involved in a lot of strategic development projects. We will have Robert, who is online with us. And Robert is a director of Transport Association. Maybe we can see, no. Yeah. Hopefully you can see him. Under his leadership, the association has become an internationally recognized association, which is an astonishing 500 members from logistics and transport companies in Slovenia. He's a trainer, he's an author and co-author of multiple books and publications. He is also member of board of Faculty of Logistics in Celje and also guest lecturer there, and he's managed tons of R&D projects internationally. And I'd also like to invite Igor. Hello, Igor. Nice to meet you. Igor will talk about digitization of businesses from different aspects. And he's also a highly respected and reputed guest speaker who also accepted our invitation. They look very serious, but later they will warm up. And now I'd like to ask also Tomislav Vazdar to join us. And when I said Klaus's experience, because he started digitization in 2018 as a head of the Digital Innovation Hub, then he has a competition on panel because Tomislav started 25 years ago. So they can discuss their experience in a few minutes. And Tomislav's experience for 25 years on digital risk, governance, and resilience. He's also founder of the CEO of Riskoria Advertising and Professional Servicing Company, which helps organizations navigating AI adoption, cybersecurity challenges, and regulatory compliance. Tomislav also leads Master of Science Education in Enterprise Cybersecurity at Open Institute of Technology. He's also there educating future leaders in AI. He serves as board member of Croatian Artificial Intelligence Association and contributing to national and regional AI strategy. And this will be the topic we will speak with him about. So as a first step, I would like to ask our third presenter, Armir, to talk about e-signatures and digital wallets, what he means by that, and what is the situation with that in his organization.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Related to the topic, which is called qualified electronic signature, I would like, first of all, to introduce that Bosnia and Herzegovina was one of the first countries in Europe that adopted, in fact, the law about the electronic signature. It was in 2006, very a lot of years ago, but we started implementing it and using it maybe 2 years ago. So we waited 18 years. We like to wait for many other things. So we waited 18 years to start using that law in, I will say, in full scale about it. Of course, European Union didn't wait for it. So 10 years after that, they adopted a new regulation, which is in accordance with the EIDAS. Then 10 years after that, again, they adopted one more law, one more regulations, which is in fact the EIDAS 2.0, etc., etc. But we are still on the first regulation, which is from 1997, and our law is based on that. Anyhow, that's not any kind of obstacle for us. So we started with the implementation. We finished the full certification, international certification, in accordance with the EIDAS. And IDDEEA is one of the 4 institutions who are providing, in fact, qualified electronic signatures to the companies and to the citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina. All 4 are, of course, certified in accordance with the EIDAS. What is important to mention is that 2 years ago, when I arrived on this position, I got one question, and I asked myself, what is older, egg or chicken? Because I have really huge question, and that question is why are we not using qualified electronic signatures? And they said because we don't have any kind of e-services. And when you ask people why don't we have any e-services, they said because we don't have the qualified electronic signature. Now we have in the last 2 years qualified electronic signature. It's for free. It's for everyone. Every citizen can activate it. And I can say that we have more than 10,000 of people who already started using it. And I can say that I'm satisfied with the number. I'm not, but also I'm very optimistic because from another point of view, this first group really didn't offer so many e-services. So the citizens don't have some kind of motivation. Why should they use and why should they activate, in fact, qualified electronic signature? So it was the challenge for us in the agency. So we decided, in fact, to develop one application, which is called EIDDEEA application, which is, in fact, the digital identity of every citizen of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and which has all possibility from our competences. What does it mean? It means that we put in this application everything what is under our competence, because we cannot do something what is not under our competences. So who activated the qualified electronic signature, they also got different kind of the logins for the usage of EIDDEEA application. And there you can then track all the document, status of documents, histories, all the fines which you can get through the traffic. You can pay those fines. You can, I don't know, you have the digital ID there, you have the digital driving licenses, digital passport, etc., etc. And you can also digitally sign your document. So when we compare this with another application, digital identity application with European Union, I can say that we are pretty good. And a few months ago, we received, in fact, one award at European level, which was held in Vienna, where our application was one of the 10 best applications in this field, which is pretty good for Bosnia, especially we waited for 80 years for different kind of stuff. And what we solved with this application, we solved, there are 3 steps when we want to do it, I will say manually. First of all, we must have ID. So when we have the ID, we must go, for example, in some municipality. We must show that ID. Person who is sitting in that municipality, they will check physically our identification. Then we will say what kind of request we want. They will give us the paper. So we will fulfill that paper. At the end, we will sign that paper and we will submit it to that person, for example, in municipality. So what we solve with this EIDDEEA application, we solve first and third part. First part, you don't need to go anywhere. You can do the digital identification, which is trusted digital identification, and you can digitally sign that form. And those 2 things are under our competences. Every these requests and every this document, every municipality, canton, entity, etc., must do that digital transformation. So another legal entity, they have to do transformation from the paper to digital. We cannot do it because we are not, I don't know, Estonia or whatever they are presenting to us. We have one very dangerous word here, which we call the transfer of competences. And whatever you do, what is not under that, you are attacked, of course, with those famous word transfer of competences. So we cannot, for example, develop all of those forms, put it on one website so everyone can find it there. No, if we previously need to go in municipality, now we have to go to the website of that municipality and to find that form in electronic version. And then that form should be integrated with our digital identification and with our digital signature. There are many already. There are different kind of examples which are fulfilled. Now you in Bosnia can, I don't know, submit for the ladies who received, who got a child, so they can get immediately all the money for it, so they don't need to submit any papers, go anywhere, etc., etc. You can get from the banks different kind of the credits, loans. You can also, in the, for example, cantonal government of Canton Sarajevo, there are also developed the whole e-government portal, which is 100% connected, also and integrated with IDDEEA. So you can again do your digital identification and digitally sign all their forms, what they submitted, etc., etc. But this part from for digital transformation from the paper to electronic form is something what is going very slowly. Of course, there are many reasons. The first reason is definitely that our municipalities, cantons, etc., they don't have enough IT people. From another point of view, who can develop it? Even it's very simple, people don't know to do it. That's one thing. The second thing, they don't have the budgets or planned budget. For example, state institutions still don't have adopted budget, even we are in November in this year. So they don't have the budget, for example, to hire some kind of the company, outside company, who will develop it for them, etc., etc. So there are many, I will say, excuses. But of course, there are many options and challenges, which I'm sure that we can solve it. And I'm very, very sure that in the next year we will especially have so many positive examples from all other institutions who will also be integrated with us, and what we will in fact offer to the citizens. That's great. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Arne. You were exactly 5 minutes, so and it was very, very exciting. For the after presentations, what I would like to talk with you about is cybersecurity aspect of this. And the first one before that is that you said you got awarded in Vienna. You will be awarded. How do you get the inspiration to learning, and where do you learn from, and how do you take the examples for such a country after the presentations? Okay, so super. Now I'd like to ask Klaus to come here and share what his view is on digitalization and digital transformation of companies.
Yes, thank you, Balázs. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give a short overview about sustainability and digitalization topics. I think it's the wrong presentation at the moment. So we are thinking for the Danube region, but also for Europe and the whole world. A major challenge is to think about not only digitalization, but also about the green topics. So I think hopefully now it works. We see there's a twin transformation process at the moment. We need to have a transformation for digitalization, but also for green technologies. And we have to think it together. And I think we have a lot of experience and technologies in the Danube region that we can use for sustainability topics. And altogether, we are talking today about competitiveness. From my point of view, it's the only way that is really successful for us to think about green and digitalization topics together, and to think about investments in these topics, and to develop new regional value chains. Of course, circular economy is a big topic. We have a big lighthouse flagship project in this field in the Danube region strategy, where we can use digital technologies to identify what could be possible circles for value creation, and how do we use our resources more effectively. And there you need digital technologies to have this information about it, to get transparency, and of course to to calculate your business. Is it worth to invest in these topics? That's very important, but also to manage these processes that are really more complex because you have to work together in a value chain, and that's not always very easy. I think you need a common mindset and cooperative spirit to work together. So we see also climate efficiency gains, factories getting more efficient, and we don't need so much resources anymore when you are working in circular economy processes. But also we see we need also qualified workforce. I think it's a good opportunity in the transformation phase. At the moment, we see in the automotive machinery sector, big transformation processes to think about how can we upskill and reskill our workforce to have experienced people that are ready for digitalization, but also for these green management topics. And that's a good challenge now to use these good qualified workers at the moment to give them trainings so that they can work in these new topics successfully. Of course, the regional integration in the Danube region, it's very important working together. We are sitting all in the same situation so that we can share our experience and work together. So we have also this priority area 8 activities in the Danube region that are really great for getting inspired, getting new contacts and information about what best practices are there. And that's, from my point of view, really a big value for the whole region. Of course, we see a lot of challenges when we're talking about digitalization and green transformation, sustainability topics. Of course, the costs, financing, small, medium-sized companies, they don't have so much possibilities to get new finance resources. And at the moment, we need to argument what are the economic effects when you get started with environmental protection and recycling topics and such things. Of course, we see a lot of regulatory barriers. Every state has own regulations when you want to implement biogas, maybe factory. It's very difficult from country to country to check all regulations. I think there's a need to maybe to make it a bit more simply. And of course, the skills gap. We need more good qualified workers and experts in these topics so that we have the workforce in the companies, and especially in the small and medium-sized companies. We need more experts there in order to drive the change. Of course, infrastructure topics, we know it also from Germany, broadband things, and the infrastructure is still a big issue. So that's a basic topic we need to address, and energy costs at the moment. Also, the big topic, how can we use also in our neighborhoods, maybe regional concepts to save energy, to produce electricity. There are very interesting smart city concepts we can use, and we try to integrate all these things in our European flagship project for the Danube Region Decide. We have developed several methods we can use so that especially small and medium-sized companies can easily get started with these topics and think about how can we manage these resource topics more effectively. How can you develop a business model for the circular economy? Afterwards, we have a session as well for the Decide project. We will give more information about this very innovative concept that we have developed. So altogether, I think we don't have to only focus on digitalization focus. We can also address green focuses, green topics, so that we can merge and have a big impact on the economy in the Danube region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Klaus. What I would like to torture you with is the question that you understand perfectly what's going on in Germany. You have information what's going on in Europe. I would like to understand what you think what's going on in the US and what's going on in China. So this is where we are with the company digitalization. Where are they? Are they ahead of us, and what could be the learning? And the second one is that when we talk about transformation of companies, it's always about the person, the manager, who is sometimes the biggest bottleneck of such changes. And I'd like to understand what's your view on that and how you approach this question. Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to give the floor to Igor, who is online with us, to share his presentation on digitalization of businesses. Thank you.
Do you see the presentation?
Hi, Igor, you've got your presentation. You can share it, or you can share your...
Yeah, I'm trying to share.
Lovely.
So is it working?
Just a second. Yeah, we can see that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Igor Žula. I'm coming from Slovenian Logistics Association. I'm a member of European Logistics Association, and I'm owner and the CEO of the company 3 Project. What we do, what I do, I'm 25 years in business transformation, in optimization, production, and logistics, and last years, of course, in digital transformation. This topic, digitalization of business services, is rather important, and of course, in 5 minutes, there is not a lot of time to give you a lot of takeaways, but let me see what we can achieve. I was trying to build the presentation from the top down. Hopefully, we will speak about this later on more. Let me speak about the basis. Business service is not business as usual. It is not industry, it's not production. Here we speak about the intangible asset, about the things that cannot be stored, and a high impact of people. This is, of course, very important, because these are the things that are supposed to be addressed through the digitalization. As said before, and we will speak a little bit later about this, digitalization business services means integrate digital technologies in all areas of businesses. That means part by part. Of course, we understand something internal, what is, and something external, like payroll, like cybersecurity, like auditing, budgeting, or something like that, or implementing a little piece of warehouse management in logistics as well. To more focus to the logistics, we are speaking about transportation services, warehousing, supply chain management, customer support, regular compliances, like, for example, single window. Single window is something that I'm sure that Robert will mention, but it is very clear business service that is built around the shipment, and it is everything about the shipment and streamlines the process in the international trade on the governmental level. And this is, of course, something that should be driven in the proper way. As said before, digital transformation is not informatization, and it is not digitalization. So these are the 3 different things. When we are speaking about digitalization, we are speaking about automatizing and digitizing task part of the process. When we speak about the informatization, we focus on managing and optimization of entire information flow. When we speak about the digital transformation, then this is complete restructuring of the companies using the new technologies for let me say another view. In this case, it means that you take even in consideration how can you add additional data into your product and to change the product. Maybe the product itself that you can hold it in the hands is not anymore the proper sales thing, but the data which gives value to this project are maybe bigger and better assets and can support the selling, and of course all the IoT things and so on. So now when we know about this, then we know where we have to focus, and this is rather very relevant by this kind of the project. There's another thing that I would like to stress, and I would be very short. This is something that you don't need to read, and it is something that we are facing every day. Every day we speak about digital twin. Every day we speak and hear about IoT. Every day we speak about data orchestration, etc. And of course, everybody that speak about any of the three topics that I mentioned before, it uses and it takes something out of this storage, and say something how he can use it. However, we have a problem, or at least I had a problem. So we try to make it some order in this, and we said, okay, yes, now we speak about everything, but there are 5 pillars that actually can get everything, all this in some order. We speak about product structure changes. We speak about global situation. We speak about organizational changes, digitalization development, and technology development. So all these buzzwords supposed to fit somewhere. So now let me speak about this very quick. The product, I like to say, this is of course Elan skis. When you start to ski, the ski has been made out of 5 different pieces. Now the ski is made out of more than 60 pieces. The same situation is with the light in the cars. In the beginning has been made out of 10 pieces. Now it's more than 240 different pieces. However, the cost of the ski in comparison to the wage is still the same as 30 years ago. And we know that when you have to assemble 60 or 70 pieces together, it needs more logistics, more internal logistics, more international logistics to put this together, and of course for the more or less the same cost as this has been in the past. So this is why IoT and all digitalization, digital transformation is so important. This cannot be done without further development. Global situation is as well very important, but there are projects where the global situation really doesn't matter, and there are projects where global situation it really matters. We are all having no problem with lack of workforce. Startups are more and more important. Some countries understand this much better than the other ones, and so on. The other thing is technology development. We do now have drones. You know what kind of important role the drones plays today now in the war. That is not so far from ours. And of course, a lot of, let me say, technology used by digital transformation is important, maybe a little bit less at least in not such a wide scale in digitalization. However, we'll come closer to this. And when we speak about the digitalization, then of course we are speaking about business processes, about cybersecurity, about data, sensoric, and so on. And this is what fits into this. This organization is usually left behind, and it is at least as important, if not maybe in some cases more than the other four topics, since we are facing now due to the AI tools with losing the domain knowledge. So what will happen when energy will fall out, when AI will not be able to help us, and so on. So handling all this, it is rather very important, and all these five topics supposed to be addressed when we are speaking about the digitalization or any out of that one. Don't read this. This is just something that I wanted to show, that when you speak about the digitalization of business services, you know, as many requests you made on the internet or as many people you hear, this is as many opinion you hear. So we need to have our own opinion and adopt according to our truly needs. So, but there are some business services trends that's supposed to be covered by the digitalization. It's a end-to-end visibility. That means that this is something what is very normal, since the data really exists, and we do have the data across the whole value chain, and we have to know how to or be able how to orchestrate this. Smarter, faster delivery, fewer manual tasks. This is something that even in the services we are facing with the ambition.
Igor, sorry, we are beyond time. So
beyond. Okay, let me close this presentation. There are 9 pillars that I believe that are important for successful digitalization. We do have to have vision and strategy. At least in our cases, we always do the process redesign. It is very necessary that you select the proper technology. It is necessary that you work with the proper people. If they don't have the good skills, then you find the new ones or add skills to the government. Data, it is an asset today. And one of the most important things is project manager, proper project manager. The rest is less important, but first pilot and then scaling, collaboration, performance monitor. These are the rest of the things that hopefully we will speak about this, each of the topics maybe in some next meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Igor. There are several topics I would like to think about before your next round. First one is that in your sector, there are public sector players and private sector players, which makes it even more complex. How is the harmonization? Is there any difference between the two sectors in approach and maturity in digitization, and how they can work together? And the other one is that I had a friend who was supposed to come here for this conference, and he could not because in Brussels they had to close the airport. Yes. So because of drones. My question is that, do you think digitization is reinforcing fragility of the supply chain and logistics, or it's increasing the fragility of that, or how can we think about it? Thank you so much for thinking of these questions. And now I would like to give the floor to the final panelist of today, and Tomislav, about AI in businesses.
Thank you, Balázs. Good morning, everyone. You know how they say, sugar comes at the end. I have a saying like that. In year 2000, I worked in the United States for a small company called E2B2. And that company was actually developing neural networks. And my boss at the time said, Tom, do you know anything? I was early in my career. He asked me, do you know anything about neural networks? I said, nope, but it sounds super interesting. So I said, here is a book, read the book, and we'll talk about it. So I read the book. I had no clue what I was reading. But I said it was interesting because I wanted to keep my job. I wanted to see how this is going to develop. And he explained to me that this is going to be the future. He said, we are going to create artificial brain. Like, wow, artificial brain sounds super interesting. And a few months later, a company collapsed. Internet bubble happened and the company disappeared. But that taught me a lesson that with technology, we can achieve a lot. And fast forward to 2025, We are today here in the age of AI. A couple of years ago, November 2022, ChatGPT appeared. And now there are like more than 1 billion users of ChatGPT. And people are super excited about using it. They use it as a chatbot, as an advisor. They take it really, really seriously. And many companies think they acquired licenses, they have co-pilots, and sounds really great for marketing. It sounds great because they're using AI. And to that themselves, that sound really important. But is that really how we want to use AI? I don't think so. Because in AI, it's really important how we govern with AI. This is where we are lacking skills. In Croatia, where I'm coming from, there are many companies that are excited about AI. They see the opportunity with AI, but they're stuck at this point where they're just getting licenses for ChatGPT, for Claude, for different tools, but there is no clear governance. And governance means that you need also to have strategy. And there, everybody's looking at the government, to bring up national strategy. And Croatia actually started working on its strategy right after the European AI Act was introduced in summer of 2024. We are now at the final stages of accepting the national strategy. And the strategy will focus on 4 pillars. The first pillar is research and innovation with AI, because companies that do recognize that it's important for their competitiveness to have AI. This is the way how you can speed up your processes. You can add intelligence on the application layer of your business processes. You can solve many pain points in organization, but you need clear strategy. You need governance. The second pillar is digitalization, and this is the primary theme of this conference, because the part of the strategy is digitalization across all industries. They all need to be interconnected, and this is where we can use AI really well. The third pillar is education. In spite of all the best governance and strategies in the world, if you don't have educated workforce, there is no use of it. So we are working also on developing national programs in Croatia. And Croatian AI, Croatian Artificial Intelligence Association, where I'm coming from also, I'm a board member of the organization. We're working for the past 5 years, almost 6 years, with different schools, universities, upskilling professors, teachers, everybody. Now there has been more than 7,000 professors that were upskilled so they can transfer the knowledge. And the fourth pillar of the AI strategy in Croatia is security. And I heard many times already, like 3 or 4 times, people talking about cybersecurity, and it's super important. Cybersecurity actually goes hand in hand with artificial intelligence. You cannot have artificial intelligence unless you understand the threat vector. I'm also professor of cybersecurity. I established a master's program in enterprise cybersecurity. And this is a super interesting topic because there is a dual use of AI. For everything that we do with AI, there are also malicious actors that abuse AI. I'm also, since I'm talking about myself now, I'm also a member of the working group of the UN for prevention of organized crime. I'm going 2 weeks from now to help them develop the framework that can be used in different countries now. How do we fight this digital risk? Because it's really scary what can be done here. This is all part also of cybersecology. It's part of cybersecurity, behavioral analytics. It's important that we understand how AI works. And finally, we always have to keep the human in the loop. What does it mean? Many people are scared that AI is going to take their jobs. Not really. No. What's going to happen, people who understand how to use AI are going to replace those people that don't want to use it. It can make you super efficient. It can save you lots of time. But if you have something against learning, then you have a bigger issue than AI. And this is the personal thing. So with these words, just going to close. So this is a short presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. If there are any questions, that's it. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much, Tomislav. It was very exciting, and it's great you did not lose your American accent. So I have 2 questions from you. Yeah? We are all from small countries. all of us compared to the US. Yeah? And then what could be a USP of Croatia in AI? We are in the process, I think it was approved in Hungary, the AI strategy. And I think if I look at the country's AI strategy, more or less, they will be very similar to each other. So what could be a kind of distinguishing factor, if there's a need for distinguishing factor? And the second one is that you've mentioned you were told about artificial brain 20 years ago. Yeah? And now it's becoming reality. How can you catch up with such a fast developing area on the developments that's going on worldwide? Because we know on average you have to read 3-4 hours a day just to be aware of what's going on in the field of AI, more or less. So it's very challenging. So, okay, these are our distinguished panelists, and it's great to have all of you here. So I'd like to go back to Almir, where we started, about oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. It's Igor, yeah? Robert, I'm very sorry. That's the disadvantage of hybrid meetings. I'm sorry. I'd like to ask you to make a 5-minute presentation. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we're waiting for you to share the presentation if you have it with you.
Yes, I have it, but I don't.
I'm sorry, don't take it personal that you have obstacles in many ways. Super.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Good morning from my side. Thank you for invitation. I will provide overview of how the FT regulation can improve digital transformation of public services in the logistics sector. I will explore the significance of the operational efficient in promoting sustainability and facilitating seamless cross-border transport across the Europe. And digitalization is innovating public service delivery. By the automating manual processes, it significantly reduces administrative burdens and improve efficiency. It also enables to interoperability across borders, an essential feature for international logistics. Moreover, the digital solutions can improve contribution with sustainable and clean logistics. The logistics sector remains one of the most paper-intensive industries, leading to inefficiency, delays, and increased costs. Digitalization addresses these challenges by enabling real-time data exchange, automated compliance checks, and improved coordination among shippers, carriers, and customs authorities. And these advantages not only exchange operational efficiency, but also contribute to the environment goals by optimizing transport routes and reduce emissions. The logistics sector remains, just a moment, skip this. FT regulation established a unified digital framework for freight transport information across Europe and mandates the transformation from paper-based to electronic documents for all transport modes, ensuring secure, standardized data exchange to the certified platforms. And this regulation is a cornerstone for the EU Digital Decade and Green Deal strategies supporting more sustainable and innovative logistic ecosystem. The FT regulation offers great benefits. For business can save 1 billion euros annually by the reducing administrative overhead. Certified platforms enable instant data sharing, improve logistic planning and routing. For public authorities, compliance checks become more efficient and less costly. And overall, FT fosters innovating, changing global competitiveness and align logistics with the EU sustainability objectives. And also, the framework of FT regulation ensures secure, controlled data sharing through certified platforms, offering using of QR codes for inspection, and companies can define access rights, ensuring data privacy and compliance to implement interface. From the member states began development IT system this year in January, and full adoption of this FT regulation is in July 2027. And these timelines allows of smooth transition from the system readiness across the Europe. I have now just one case. Imagine that Slovenian logistic company exporting goods to Germany. Instead of relying on the paper documents, the company uploads all necessary transport data on the certified EU FT platform, and German custom access this data via secure FT gate, streamlining the clearance process, and the approach reduce the delays, minimize errors, and exchange transparency, demonstrating the real world of value of FT and cross-border operations. And the EU actively support this implementation of the FT regulation by the several of initiatives. One of them is Digital Transport Logistic Forum, and second is FT4U project that there is involved 9 countries, also Slovenia, and already piloting interoperability testing of FT-Gate. And however, awareness remains a challenge because by the survey show that only 77% in a company in Germany are unfamiliar with FT, and this is essential for successful adoption, that all companies and also the public services are aware about FT regulation. And for the conclusion, FT regulation marks a strategic shift toward smart green logistics and replace outstanding paper-based system with efficient digital platforms, improving transparency, reducing cost, and enhance cross-border conditions. And this is all from my side. I welcome all the questions and also forward to the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. It was very concise. Thank you so much for that. I would like to have 2 questions for you. One of them is that, as you said, it will be launched in 2027, or it will be effective as of 2027. I would like to understand what is the potential marketing impact of this. Now we know that in the logistics sectors, there's very high competition. What will be there will be bigger players from small also in smaller countries, or what do you think about that? And the second, you've mentioned that even in Germany, 77% of companies have not heard of this change. What kind of education efforts is planned to be in place to overcome that? So these are the 2 questions I would like to ask you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now coming back to you. Sorry for the confusion before. We've talked about several things regarding your presentation. First, how do you take the learning from, and how do you manage the cybersecurity aspect of that?
Because this is second turn, I guess we also should be shorter, right? So Regarding the learning, I must admit that the majority of all applications which are developed in our agency are mostly done by our people, by our own technical department, because mostly, as I said, we don't have the budget and other things, so we have to do it how we know. So we use the knowledge of our technical department, which I really must admire that they are very, very good ones. And the whole this maintenance and whole development and everything regarding from the communication infrastructure up to new application is in fact, I will say on the legs and on the people from our own agency. So I really must say that I'm very, very proud on them. So this is one thing. And regarding the cybersecurity, it's also very important to mention that Bosnia and Herzegovina, we don't have the law for cybersecurity. That's the one thing. And the second thing, we don't have also the law for the critical infrastructure, which is also very, very important. And our agency is, in fact, the critical infrastructure, definitely. And when we look at the official report from the European Union, which is published a few days ago, you will see that in Chapter 10, which is digital transformation, it's written there is no any improvement or any progress in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which I really must admit that I disagree 100% with all of those things. But what they put as parameters, what was the methodology? They just checked, did we adopt the new law for cybersecurity in accordance with the NIS2? And they checked, did we adopted the new law for electronic signature in accordance with the EIDA? So it's true, we didn't do it. But of course, our political situation is like it is, so we cannot do it. But another things are happening, and the citizens really can feel it and can see it. To go back to the cyber, I'm looking always, and we are looking always at the cyber security as the security like in your house, like in our body, etc., etc. So we are doing all preventions, all the maintenance and everything what we know with all capacity what we know, but we never can say that we are 100% secure, and nobody cannot say it in the world. There is always possibility that some kind of the attack, some kind of the virus or something similar can pass to our infrastructure, like it can pass in our house, like it can pass in our body, etc., etc. But definitely that we are providing all what we know and that we are doing maximum what we can do. That's 100% sure. And I must use this opportunity regarding the cybersecurity, because as I said, we don't have it on the state level, thanks to the UK embassy and to US embassy in Bosnia and Herzegovina, who are in fact in the last year and a half trained our people, allow us different kind of the services, allow us different kind of the software tools and other ones. And we are working every day almost on, I will say, equipping our team. And so we have under IDDEEA our cybersecurity team, which is trained and equipped by the agencies from those two embassies. So I must use this opportunity to say thanks in that relation. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I think we can stay seated. What is amazing on what you say is how you say it. That I don't know if you have the same impression, but you are passionate about what you do. And it's always, that's the key, I think, about what we do. When you said your staff is doing the research, you are pushing it, you are not satisfied with how you are accepted. So it's the biggest driver, I think, for such changes. So I'm really happy for the country that they have you doing this job. I will be more nasty with Klaus now, that we love talking about digitization ourselves, and we don't compare ourselves to the Chinese and Americans. Where are they now?
Yes, that's really a good question. I think the US is very innovative and very strong. They have much more investments in artificial intelligence technologies. In the last 10 years, they invested about nearly $500 billion in these topics. Chinese, they invested about $160 billion, and in Europe, it's only part of it. You can't even get the figure from the data. So we see big difference in the development at the moment. I think the US industry is very fast. They have the possibility to develop things very fast and be very innovative. China is very massive. They have political programs, strategies in this field of AI and digitalization, so they can roll out things much easier, like in Europe. We have, in comparison, a lot of know-how, engineering know-how, production know-how, and have a lot of competence in understanding industries. And I think that's our highest value at the moment, that we know what services are needed, what could be efficient for the companies, for the small companies, and be very successful in these topics. The US, they have the big hyperscalers that we don't have the chance to compete with them. There were some tries in the past, but it's very difficult to compete with Amazon and Google and the other hyperscalers. They have a lot of power, and their business models is based on getting the data from the users. And this is maybe also looking into the future, maybe a possibility for us to compete with them if we are looking to these digital ecosystem approaches, as we heard it from the logistics. There are also approaches in the finance sectors, trade sectors, to think about how can we use our data for using these platforms and not give all data to the hyperscalers so that they can make money out of it, so that we can have the responsibility and the power about our own data with blockchain technologies, for example, SSI technologies, also in X-Road from Estonia. There are very interesting technologies that could be used for creating our own value chains and businesses out in a framework in a world where China is very strong, and of course the US is most innovative region. But I see also we are working all together. So at the moment we see it in the automotive sector that our big OEMs, they have problems to develop their own car systems, IT systems. So they buy it maybe from the US and develop it further and creating own services out of it. And because we have the industry know-how, that's our biggest value, I think. And so the message is maybe US is very fast and strong. China is very massive. If they're doing things, they really have a big impact. But we could be also very innovative and, of course, also very have the twin transition with the green topics, sustainability topics. But we have to think about how can we foster it and give some push in maybe in such ecosystem approaches.
I'm so happy that you mentioned also the final part of it. I happened to be on a Danube strategy discussion, and I told there as well that you as Baden-Württemberg, I know you're not the king, but as a representative of the region or the state, is that you have a big responsibility, because what you know in terms of economic power is so decisive for all of our regions or countries, that whatever happens to you happens 10 times more in at least I can speak on my behalf on Western Hungary for sure. So we rely heavily on that, and I think it was mentioned by Tomislav maybe that we always want to have a strategy we can follow, and maybe it's a cultural thing that we don't like reinventing ourselves, but we like somebody to put some vision that we can adjust to. And due to the economic of power of Baden-Württemberg, it's so essential that you have this kind of approach and that we can use to. So if you say ecosystem development, it means for me working together with the supply chain and working together with SMEs from Bosnia, from Croatia, from Hungary, together with you. Yeah. So that could be potentially a way to move forward.
Yes, I think we have big industries in Baden-Württemberg, and I think that's maybe a good starting point, yeah, to think about how can we work together cross-border in the Danube region in Europe, so that we deliver new services, new products that are really good for the markets and not to centralize too much, to have at least more decentralized approaches with the ecosystem we can develop, so that we can bring in all creativity and all innovation in these approaches.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Now I'd like to ask Igor, based on your presentation, if you could elaborate a bit if digitization is contributing or taking from the fragility of that sector you were talking about.
Yes, we spoke about three things: about approach and in public and personal sector, and fragility, and the drones problem. I will go very quickly through all these three topics. If you remember my last 9 pillars, these pillars are in public and personal companies are more or like exactly the same. What is different is time that people have it to use for the digital transformation. Of course, ambition is different, and for sure the technology used in both cases is different. Business drones problem is another situation that actually somehow is connected to whatever we spoke just before. European Union, we do strategies, we do regulations, and for example, in Slovenian case, we take these regulations and we make it even more problematic. And of course, in this situation, competing is rather different. Like example with the drones, it is not everything related to the strategy, to the regulation, and so on. I'm quite sure that the drones could be solved with sometimes with the local hunting association. They would know how to handle it, and this is the situation. It is not always the digitalization the only answer to the problem. About fragility, of course, this is the topic that goes 100% with cybersecurity. This is why now we know that there are completely closed data loops in the companies, and of course common benefits coming out of the digitalization or AI projects are still much bigger than, of course, problems that raised in some companies that didn't gave enough time for cybersecurity.
Thank you so much, Igor, for answering the questions. Now I'd like to turn to Tomislav. When we talked about the Croatian AI strategy, you mentioned 4 components: RID, digitalization, education, and security. If I think maybe it could be true for any country. So what is the unique point within that you think is a special character to Croatia that gives you competitive advantage?
Okay. Can you hear me? Does it work? Okay. So in Croatia, what we really have a thriving ecosystem of startups. And me coming from NGO, also being a board member of CROAI, Croatian Artificial Intelligence Association, we have created so-called landscape, AI landscape, showing like some 300, 400 different companies, startups, everybody who is doing something with AI. And we see this actually as a competitive advantage, because all these people who are members of CROAI and also members of the AI community, they're contributing to the national strategy. They're part of the different working groups. And this is something that's been in development now for the past 9-10 months. under the Ministry of Digitalization. However, it's called, I don't remember the right name. But there are different work groups and everybody is focusing on certain area. So everybody's talking about cybersecurity. I'm super excited about that because I think this is also very important, because I heard way too many times people saying that AI sucks, it doesn't work, it's not providing good results. But what people don't realize is actually about data that you provide. So what you put in, if you put in quality data, you will get quality result. If you put garbage in, you will get the garbage out. And this is the key point about how AI works. One thing is the algorithm that's providing the logic, the thinking, the reasoning. But if you don't have high quality data, then you have a big problem. And then we come to this part of governance, which is also relevant for AI. Why is it important? Because if you don't have the proper governance, that means you don't have security in place, you don't have security measures, you don't understand how to assess your digital risks. And with AI being in businesses, now we're introducing suddenly 800, 900 new risks. There is actually research from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that's been released probably like 6 months ago, and they listed all these risks from data poisoning, from deep fakes, there I can list them all. But this is so super relevant because if you want to put AI in your business process, you need to understand how are you going to do that. I'm also collaborating with a big Polish NGO. It's called Tech to the Rescue, and they're upskilling NGOs in the world. So through my lessons, there are like probably 400, 500 people actually that participated. But what we're teaching them is not only, how to use AI. That's easy how to use AI, but it's actually how to define problem statements, design thinking. This is the key. This is something that needs to be taught at the very early stages in schools, in the elementary school, kids 6, 7 years old, they need to understand actually how to critically thinking. And this is the problem also overall with the educational system, because people don't know how to think. We are forced to memorize certain dates in history and stuff, but when you have a real issue, you have no clue, how do I think? How do I position myself? That's all part of the overall strategy. This is something that needs to change. And I believe Croatia is going in the right direction. It's a slow process, but I think we're getting there.
Thank you so much. So if I arrogantly interpret it in one sentence, it means that you have such a high level of involvement from multi-stakeholders from society that it's a kind of community building and common thinking process at the same time.
Yes, that is true. It's important to have perspective from different stakeholders because the government cannot do this alone. They need to have this constant cross-functional, cross-sectoral communication, collaboration to hear what other people have to say. So this can be part of the overall strategy, because after all, the strategy serves clients, serves companies, serves citizens. It's not self-sufficient. It needs to serve someone. So the best thing is to get input from the community so you can build a strategy.
My final question to you is that was very similar to what I asked from Almir and Klaus as well, is how can you monitor what's going on in the world and how can you find out what is relevant for you?
Okay, so this is also one interesting question. I'm just thinking about it when you asked me originally. I read many different magazines, different books. And in many magazines, there is like computer magazines, there's always something like, what was discussed 20 years ago? So I'm like, well, wow, this was like 20 years ago. Wow, it seems like yesterday. And then I read newsletters about AI. And the recent one was like, what was happening in 2024? I'm like, wow, look at this now. This is like 20 years ago. And now this is like what's happening 12 months ago. Because what we see with AI, it's just amazing. It's the shift, the development, the innovation. This is going so fast that it's really difficult to follow. And the idea here is not to follow everything what's happening out there, but you need to understand actually where are we heading to. You need to understand that we are going to the age of quantum computing, quantum cryptography. This is something that's going to change the world. AI is a big part of quantum computing. So we need to jump the train, we need to learn, we need to innovate, we need to adopt. We cannot just stand in place, and this is also the critical thinking. We need to keep questioning, why this, why that?
Thank you so much, which is leading to the conclusion that our competitive advantage could be in the brains or in the intellectual follow-up or speeding up.
Definitely, it's human mind. And then we come to the topic I mentioned before, cyber psychology.
Yeah.
This is actually, how do we interact with AI? How do we interact with digital world? You know, and this is part of the culture. You know, how do you change the culture, the national culture, organizational culture? It's relevant for cybersecurity. It's relevant for AI because you want adoption. You know, people always have resistance against everything.
Thank you so much, Robert. My questions to you were: what do you think? What will be the impact on the market on the 2027 when we will have this fully digital solution for the logistics services?
Thank you. Very interesting question. I will start that in Slovenia, we have a lot of discussion about digitalization. Like Igor mentioned before, we are talking about single window in logistics because we are aware that digitalization is the right way to optimize all our procedures in the transport. All transport modes, like I present in my presentation. So when we implement digitalization, FT regulation, and hopefully single window in Slovenia, we think that all documents in paper base will be in electronic way, and also efficiency, and like I present in my presentation, will be also for public services and companies benefits. In one survey I mentioned, for companies, this will be 1 billion euros annually cost savings because of the paperless, and also digitalization will simplifies all the procedure that we have now in transport in the logistics.
And my final question to you is that when you said nearly 80% of people have not heard of it in Germany, which is about to happen in 2 years or 1.5 years from now on, what is your organizational efforts, or what's going on in the sector to make sure that this message goes through beforehand?
I'm sure that this percentage in Slovenia is more high because not because of the our association, but like I said, we are talking about digitalization a lot in Slovenia because we are a small country, and we know we have only one port, only one airport, and so on. So we really have the opportunity to manage if we are fast and we implement this digitalization, will improve logistics. So many companies, I hope, that heard about the digitalization and FT regulation.
I see. Thank you. Igor, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I would just like to add something to this because it is rather relevant. There are two things how to spread the idea about the digitalization. The first thing is, of course, the job that the government is supposed to do. For example, single window is something that we spoke in Slovenia already decades ago, and since nothing happened on the proper level, then the companies and the branches start to organize themselves, which is good as well. Like example, ports or airports or something like that. The other things is for example, ECMR project is the project that Robert mentioned as well. Slovenia was among the first countries in the Europe that has signed the regulation and joining to this part. However, we are still having, let me say, a lot of job to do on the national level. However, I've been involved into the ECMR project, and we did it successfully already 8 years ago. And how it happened? It happened that the foreign company decided that they are going to go to the ECMR. They said to the local partners in Slovenia, look, guys, We are going to go for this. You have now 1 year, 1.5 years to join us in this project. If you will not succeed with this, then you will lose the business with us. We will find someone else. And this is the case, how this will come, and it will work for everybody. I guess in the name of promotion of this channel will be stronger.
See, thank you so much for your input. We have 5 more minutes left. I don't know if there's any question from the audience that you would like to raise. To say the question, and then I will say in the mic, if that's okay. Oh, no, there's a mic there. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Liviu from Romania. I have a question, political one, about democracy. In this fast-moving world, I see an AI divide. We talk about brain and artificial brain, but human natural brain will vote eventually. What's your opinion about this future of democracy? Thank you.
Thank you for going beyond the scope of the panel. I'm just thinking, who is volunteering to and great.
I can answer your question. I can try to answer your question. So it's always the question. I mean, when we talk about democracy, I don't know if you're familiar with Professor Martin Moore from the King's College of London. He wrote a book, Democracy Hacked. In this book, he actually elaborated everything that happened with Brexit and Cambridge Analytica. And he explained in his book how everything unfolded under Russian influence, of course, how they actually used AI, how they used machine learning to predict each county in the United Kingdom, to understand who are the voters, what is their age, what is their income level, different aspects that are important that influence also whether they're going to vote or stay at home. So by the use of AI, machine learning and AI, they actually targeted certain groups in the UK, whether to go out for voting or not. And they succeeded by a small margin. So UK voted to exit. So this is why he wrote this book, Democracy Hacked, because this was like a clear case how AI can be abused also. Now, when we're looking, somebody was talking here about Brussels and drones and everything. So when we see Russian influence, Russian operations, happening in Poland and in Romania, in September, we see for the first time the hybrid warfare in action in the Western world. You see kinetic warfare, so basically drones coming in, but at the same time, Polish space, internet space was overflooded with different information that Ukrainians are sending drones. This is their operations. And the research shows that 36% of people actually believe it's Ukrainians who are sending drones. 3 days later, it happened in Romania. There were drones. There is like flood of bots just flooding internet space in Romania, and people believing, yes, Ukrainians are sending drones. So these are hybrid operations. This is actually how you affect elections. The same thing happened in 2016 in the United States, with the first time when Trump was elected. So this was also, they're using data against democracy. So speaking of artificial brain, it's like we are getting there, but there is always dual use. It's for good and also for evil, and we have to find ways how to put guardrails and how to protect against that.
Thank you so much. We have another question.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to all of you. My name is Franz, coming from Ljubljana, Ministry of Transport. That's why my question is related to Robert and EFTI. Well, the regulation is 5 years old, so it means that a progress should be made. And I'm interested in how the EFTI platforms, how the companies in Slovenia are prepared to establish them and how far they are. Second, we will have an EFTI gate to communicate between Slovenia and Austria, for example, or Croatia and so on. Did we have any pilots already ongoing between the countries that would show if we are on the right track? And for my comment, last comment, I know that the Commission is normally ambitious and put the deadlines that are many times later on postponed. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know, Igor or Robert, who is volunteering? Robert.
Hi, yes, I will try to answer this because I know Franz Repic for many years, and I will just answer that in Ministry of Infrastructure, we have the working group about this FT regulation, and there are involved also the companies, IT companies that have the platforms for this exchange of data between member states. But I don't know if states is prepared. Our states is prepared for this because, like I mentioned in my presentation, each member state must build a gate, FT platform for exchange of data. And I know that IT companies in Slovenia have these gates and platform, but I don't know if Slovenia have this such a gate for exchange of data.
Thank you so much, Robert. Or just time passed by, just one remark, if I may say, that in 2027 in Western Hungary, there will be a new UN university, which is now officially approved, and it will focus on digitalization and social peace, societal peace, like fake news, conspiracy theories, and so on. So it's such a whole complex topic that will be a dedicated institute for that. What I'd like to say, big thank you so much for choosing us for this morning panel, and I'd like to thank also the super panelists for taking part, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Goodbye.